My name is Andy Steeps, and I'm super excited to be here tonight to talk to you guys about what makes an amazing semester abroad. You guys might recognize my last name because of this guy, huh? Funny, like Rick Steves. I had the blessing and the curse of growing up with this guy every single year of my life. So that's why I'm up here talking to you guys today. Now, me, my mom, and sister would go visit him wherever he was in Europe. He would put me on the next metro car in Paris, tell me where to change and where to get off, and then be like, all right, see you on the other end. And this is when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So when I say I'm happy to be here, I really am happy to be here. You guys are staying put in one place and taking weekend trips or maybe spring break trips or traveling after the semester. So the rules are a little bit different. Like, my dad writes a great guidebook. There's Let's Go, there's Lonely Planet. There's lots of guidebooks out there, but you know, it's 600 pages for Rome, 500 pages for Paris. You know, they're not really made for students, and they're not really on the student's budget either. So that's when I realized there's a real need for resources for students like you studying abroad over here in Europe, and that's what I've been really focusing on ever since I graduated back in 2010. And what I've done is I've created this along with a whole bunch of other things up on the website, so check that out. What we're going to do is go over some of these practical tips briefly here. Okay, so everybody knows about Skype, right? Well, I've found that there's, of course, a lot of other ones that are popping up, like Google Voice, Viber. What I realized is that each one has a slightly different model, you know, so if you know when to use which for the purposes that it was made, you can call around the world for super convenient and super cheap, if not free. I also know that Skype has a lot of cool tools beyond just computer-to-computer calling. What I realized I could do is buy a local Seattle number and give that local Seattle number to my less technologically inclined loved ones, like my mother, like my grandma, and they could call that local number any time of day, and it forwards to the British cell phone right in my pocket. You know, so there. When it comes to getting around, the infrastructure here in Europe is incredible. So you got buses, trains, and planes. We'll go over each one briefly. When it comes to buses, getthere.ie is an awesome site if you're traveling around Ireland. And then if you go into Central Europe, there's a lot of solid bus connections throughout Europe, especially on Eurolines. That is all across Europe, Spain, France, all the way out to the Czech Republic and Hungary and beyond. So we're checking out that, as well as Orangeways and Student Agency. When it comes to Euro passes, I'm happy to go into this further, like if anybody has specific questions, but as a general rule, especially if you're studying here in London, it doesn't make so much sense to have one while you're studying abroad. When it comes to where to stay, forget everything that the movie taught you. Hostels are fun, they're safe, they're clean. I've had great experiences all around the world in hostels, and I use hostelworld.com to find them. I'd be sure to look at every single category by which a hostel can be rated. So that's look at the reviews, look at the amenities, be sure and look at the map, keeping in mind that every single hostel in the world is going to say they're centrally located. Of course, that's a relative term compared to Timbuktu, you know, so make sure that the pin is actually in the center of the city where you're trying to go and check out. I found that the more you pay to stay somewhere, like if you're trying to stay in hotels, yeah, the guy who checks you in might be wearing a suit. Yeah, there might be a granite floor, and yeah, you might have a a bathrobe in your room or whatever. But that's not what travel is about. All you're doing is insulating yourself from the culture that you're trying to experience. So hostels are a great way to meet other backpackers. You make friends that way. You know, they're coming from all over the world. More often than not, they're Australians, you know, that you meet in hostels, but it's still really cool to make friends there and then go into this foreign city and explore it together on your own, and hostels give you a chance to do that. Airbnb.com is kind of like a paid version of couchsurfing, so locals register their spare room, bed, or even entire apartment, and so what that does is it immediately connects you with a local, and you can have great experiences in fully furnished apartments all around the world. I use it all the time, and I've had pretty solid experiences across the board. Lastly though, and most importantly, everybody's heard of Ryanair, right? Well, everybody knows about Ryanair because they screw over the most of their customers, so they get the most press. All right, it's a very solid marketing plan, okay? Now, I'm not saying don't fly with Ryanair, but don't search with them first, because there's all sorts of other budget airlines out there. And the way I find them is to use CheapOair, Kayak, Skyscanner, and Momondo. And I do the same exact search across all 4 search engines, and I keep it as loose as possible. Loose on time, loose on dates, and loose on airports. And then once I start seeing stuff that I like, I'll start drilling down a little bit, and then when I see the flight that I like, I'll book directly with that airline. I never book on eDreams, Orbitz, Travelocity, or anything like that, because I find that that's just one more middleman that you have to deal with, one more potential system glitch, one more middleman fee that you're going to encounter along the way. Now, if you do fly with Ryanair and EasyJet and other budget airlines, you better darn sure read every single bit of their financial fine print because they mean it, and that's how they get you. They're gonna like get your attention with a 20 euro flight, but by the time you book, you might have 30, 40, 50 euro fees on top of that. And then if you show up at the airport and you don't have your boarding pass printed already, if you haven't checked in online ahead of time already, if you try to check in a bag at the gate, each of those is going to cost between 40 and 60 euros. I think if you go to London airports, it's 40 or 60 pounds even. So that's how they get you, okay? And I can't say it enough, read every single bit of fine print when you fly with Ryanair. Also, be sure to get your visa and passport checked if you have a non-EU passport if you're flying with Ryanair. I speak from experience. I almost missed a flight because I didn't get my visa checked because the baggage claim sticker was placed right over this, so I didn't read it, and we didn't find that out all the way to the gate. So I started organizing these trips for my friends. It was really me just picking where I wanted to go, and then people saying, oh, I'll come with you, can I come with you? And so at first it was like 6 or 7 of my friends. By the end of the semester it was 32 friends, but also random acquaintances coming with me. And by that time, it kind of turned into a job. I took this idea, distilled it down into a business plan. I figured I'd go after it and see what would happen. And that was back in 2010. That's when we launched our tours. And since then, we've had 2,500 students on our trips who love the platform that we've designed. And what it's all about is efficient sightseeing and also local guides. I've designed these trips for somebody like myself who loves having a friend on the ground in each of these cities to show me the hidden parts of their town. What I've been busting my butt about is to set up a platform so that you guys can come in, have all the fun, and not deal with any of the headache. What we do is we build in our key sightseeing. So in Paris, that's the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. We skip 2 to 3 hour long lines at each step along the way. What that lets us do is build in a ton of value. So we get in and out of the Eiffel Tower, in and out of the Louvre, in Rome, that's in and out of the Vatican and the Colosseum, and on to much cooler things in the afternoon and evening. We do walk-in tours throughout the city. St. Paddy's Dublin, of course, as well. It's an awesome opportunity for us to go and experience the Irish culture and also have a blast with people from all over the world in it. It's a good time. We see some traditional Irish dance as well as music. Having a feast at an amazing, the Mercantile, which is an amazing old world pub, so that's delicious. We skipped the line into the Guinness Brewery. We also have 9 city trips. So Berlin is one of our newest ones. It's an amazing city with some real, recent, and raw history. Krakow is a lot of fun too. Check out the Schindler's Factory and pay our respects at the Auschwitz and Birkenau concentration camps. All along, these are real active trips. So we do biking tours in Paris, Barcelona, Berlin. We go caving underneath Budapest and catch a flamenco show in Barcelona, and a paella and sangria making class there too. So cuisine is so cool to experience in all these different places that you go. As you can see, these trips are all set up to really set you up to experience the city and not deal with any of the logistical headache. All the trip dates and information are online. They start at 199 euros. What we don't include is transportation. So the tagline is show up at the hostel and we take it from there. So what that lets you do is coordinate these trips with friends studying elsewhere throughout the continent, as well as show up early and take off late, or really build it around whatever works for your schedule specifically. So.